Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Last Call. It's the morning show, and today it's a very special morning show. Don't ask me why, it just feels special. It feels special. Don't know why. No clue why, as to why. Bender, do you have any ideas why it could be special today?
Morning.
Say again?
I said morning.
Morning to you. So Bender has stated we have a very neutral morning today. It's quite neutral morning.
Why is it special? Hells, what's special?
Well, we have the big Fed day. That makes it special. Anytime we get Fed day, it's special. When everybody daddy gonna talk, Papa Powell is gonna do a little speech, so that's a special day. It's a little bit special from the standpoint that we had, two mega caps report yesterday with middling to poor results, and the reaction was to buy the dip. Or was it? What do you think? Do you think, Bender, that the reaction was to buy the dip, or do you think it was shorts being caught off sides going, oh, fuck, I have to cover?
I mean, probably some combination of both. Right? But once we go through the levels, it doesn't matter, which was the case.
Yeah, because price is true. Because price is the only thing
Right.
that matters. Yeah, absolutely. So there are some specials going on. I also found it special, once again, that and we've seen this multiple times through the years. That reports trash ass numbers, anything that is associated with advertising in any capacity sells, and then what happens? Google comes in and says, Snap ain't shit, bitch. Okay? That's what they said. That's what the numbers say. Their ad revs were fine. Everything over there was fine. It wasn't like the most pristine quarter, but I don't think anybody has an expectation of a pristine quarter. Even, and then we have the face page tonight. How are they going to come in? How much of ultimately this discounting has been discounted to the point to where you can say, again, we're saying this again for the 375th time, how much of it is priced in? And if we are a forward-looking instrument, and that's what the market is, how do we look at where we are now and where we will be in 2 years, 18 months? It's like, are we better off in 18 months, or are we worse off than where we are right now in 18 months? I think that's the $10 billion question.
Well, I hope you're going to tell us.
I'm pretty sure I know where we're going to be.
Okay.
I'm not willing to step out and state it publicly. But I have my ideas. So this morning, even the data that's coming out, this morning's data, it's not bad. Durable good orders up, looking pretty good. We also have new home sales coming out 30 minutes after the market opens. Obviously, we have Fed. We have face page reporting tonight. And I'll say it again, we have the Fed. This is going to be the last meeting until September. There is no meeting in August, but I believe we have Jackson Hole in August, which kind of in a lot of ways acts as a Fed meeting without any type of a rate decision being attached to it. I think today is one of those days, and I woke up this morning and I saw where we were, Bender, and I'll make this the rest of this part fairly brief. We did not have the flow coming in yesterday that would have led anybody in the right mind to believe that we would be trading where we are right now on the markets. The flow was not there. So that means that a lot of people are off sides, and the market is either going to come in and they're going to pop out, which is going to create an additional squeeze, or they're going to double down and they're going to sell this all the way back down. When the flow isn't there to match up with the story, it becomes really, really, you have to be quite cautious in what you're doing. And I'm not talking about the flow within the first 5-10 minutes. It's like we got to get into about an hour worth of flow and see what's going on and see what shots are going to be taken, mainly based on we have one of those binary events that shakes the foundation. And I want to warn again, last couple of Fed meetings, we get a move and then that move gets reversed within 24 hours. We've had that. We have blown the top off the last 2 Fed meetings and they've sold back down and then some post over the next couple of days when that's happened. And then we rebase and then we try to put together and then we make another move. Tough week, tough stuff. Very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. So when things become difficult, we have to resort, when the narrative is messy and the other things are messy, we have to resort back to people like Bender and his charts and his lines to be like, hey, how should we look at where we are? And then how can we create probability moving forward? So Bender, tell us where we are so we can figure out the probability moving forward.
All right. Well, obviously we have this gap up. We're sitting 39.61 on ES, but we have this decent sized gap on SPY. I think it's an interesting sign that both Google and Microsoft missed, even if it wasn't by a lot, but they both missed and they're both up this morning.
I just want to add something to that. We can say the same thing about Boeing. You can say the same thing about Tesla. Tesla was trading 740-ish when they reported. We were pushing what, 850 soon thereafter. So yeah, go ahead.
Last quarter, you missed and you got punished, right? You beat and you still got punished. So I think it's interesting that they're both up coming into the morning here. So again, we're at 39.60 levels above. I've got so we've got 39.78. Which was a previous area of resistance, and 39.90 previous area of resistance, and then I'm going to keep talking about kind of this zone 39.90 to 40.35, which is an area of supply. That is that sort of high traffic, congested area. Levels below 39.48, you've got the 20 MA on the 60-minute there, and then 39.20 sees the 10 and the 50 on the daily, 39.19 and 39.20. So, if we pull back, bulls want to hold 39.50 this morning. But if we give that up, I'd target 39.20. And then, if you're short, I'd probably take some off there. If you're looking to play a bounce, that would be a decent area to look at depending on, the level of momentum and how quickly we're moving. But 39.20 could be a decent area. That longer term trend line, so we gave that trend line up. We bounced near the 20 MA or the 10 MA on the daily, and bounced right back above that longer term trend line. Today, that trend line would come in around 39.41. So if we give up 39.50, that trend line's at 39.41, and then those two MAs squish together at 39.20. So those are kind of the levels that I've got that I'll be watching.
So how do you feel?
I mean, on the open, we have a gap up that we need to, we need to pay attention to that. Do they try to at least, fill part of that gap? Maybe. I don't know. It's
we
it
gonna
doesn't
have a
matter
gap
what
on the
I.
day-
What's that?
But I'm just wondering, are we going to have a gap on the daily? I don't know that we will necessarily. I guess we will. It's like 394 was the high yesterday, so we have to come down and touch that, right? That would fill the gap
Yeah.
on it. Because otherwise there's not going to be a gap. Now, we do have a gap further down, like much further down at that 780 level. I mean, at that 380 level, there is a gap down there on the daily, but it's like our gap this morning is minuscule.
Yeah.
Talking about basically 50 cents.
I mean, if you go close, I mean, it depends on if you're trading the gaps on the daily like that. Maybe they don't do anything with it, but how I feel doesn't really matter. I just want to see. I just want to see if they go back and test. Maybe they test that 394 and then it holds and we get to rally. I don't know. We shall see.
I think there's a lot of confusion this morning, as far as basically digesting what you said as far as last quarter. No matter what, you got your ass beat. This quarter, it looks like they're kind of giving a pass. I think and then we can move on to Stockton after this. The one thing that I think that is becoming more and more apparent with some of these ERs, these reports are not necessarily geared towards investors. They're talking directly to the Fed. It's like these results are not being directed towards investors or funds or anything along those lines. Being directed to the Fed as far as saying, hey, we're having currency issues, we're having, supply chain issues, we're having, all the way up and down the board. These pre-guides as far as things that Walmart did in advance of the Fed meeting, that was directed at the Fed. They wanted the Fed to hear. When we hear about, workforces being cut and hiring slowing down across major tech, it's like that's directed to the Fed for conversation points for this meeting for them to counterbalance and discuss. It's like they are talking directly to Powell. The question is whether or not Powell is going to receive the message the way they're intending them to receive it. So those are my thoughts. Thank you, Bender, for the levels. It's like they keep on playing out over and over again. Same levels. We played these levels how many different times over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's the same numbers.
Same numbers.
Slightly, they vary slightly, just on how those moving averages where they line up. But yeah, it's pretty much the same levels.
Pretty much the same, which means that if we're really, really being honest brokers when it comes to these levels that he's talking about and touching them, we should have a pretty good idea how to play off of them, especially if we want to realign flow with it. I mean, like, okay, they're buying calls at this level. Okay, they're selling calls and buying puts at this level. If we acknowledge that, we can master this shit. If we ignore it and put the blinders on, we're going to get rolled. Lockington, you better not start out by saying, I had all this prepared, but we have a gap up, so I don't even know what to do anymore. It better not start out like that.
Wow. All my thunder just out the window there.
I did it. I fucking rocked you, didn't I? I took your shit.
What do I say now? I might as
well I think it's one of those things that the dog ate my homework is not exactly going to work this morning. So so what you got?
Let's see. Oh man, I will be perfectly happy today to just do nothing. But we got levels and again, I'm always listening to what Bender has to say, looking at his charts and stuff. So it's like the same applies for these tickers. I've been keep putting AMD on the list, and these are the same levels, even though we've drifted up. It's like still got the same lines there on the chart. That doesn't change anything. So I put up, my AMD chart there in the chat. So I just adjust the triggers slightly, which we would now use this is this dark pool above 8708, and then we got this 87.2 fib line above right there. So you could look at that to potentially take AMD long. Then 8605 would be potential take it short area. We saw that level play out. I mentioned it yesterday, and it worked as resistance second half of the day yesterday there on AMD. So levels don't change. Just keep can still use those. Got Moderna over here. I was going to take it long over 162.9, which was right about yesterday's lower orb, and it's basically sitting on that right now. So you can kind of see what Moderna does. I put that on the list because it was an inside bar on the daily, so could see some momentum if it breaks outside that range. We haven't gotten a lot of flow on Moderna this week, but we basically got just like one put sweeper who's red at this point, so we'll be kind of watching that. It was this week's 162.50s, had some decent money, a sweeper, and then I had Netflix. Just because it got this dark pool last night that was decent size relative to the average volume there. They hit it at 213.91, and there wasn't really a lot of other dark pool going last night, so I put Netflix on the list. It's operating above that now. I was gonna be watching this 215.55. It broke that, so above possible other resistance we'd have, like yesterday's upper orb was 218.65, so that'd be kind of what I'd be watching on Netflix. But yeah, otherwise, I still have tattooed in my brain the hells, not touching anything unless it's the most picture perfect thing on a Fed day. But otherwise, just be watching, see what flow gives us.
Yeah. And they're going to tip the hand. They always come in about an hour beforehand, and they start nickel and diming same day activity. We might get a couple of like rando shots up into the 400s on SPY for Friday. We might start seeing those rando shots coming in, and the money will start building, or we could start seeing, on the flip side, let's say 386 puts, 388 puts, a blitzing of 390 puts. It's like those are the areas that we have to be watching either way. Also have to watch tell tickers like TECL, DNA. Have to watch those. Watch the price action around SQQQ. Very, very important. Same with UVXY. But there's not, it's like flow on UVXY is kind of goofy, but if you start seeing that they're selling puts or selling calls specifically, much more so than directional plays, then, you start getting more of a tell. Those areas are going to be the ones that are in the ET, I think FAS for the financials. Start XLF, start watching gold flow, metal flow coming into today, because the dollar is going to make a psychotic move. Dollar is trigger for the most part on Fed days that creates the momentum. So that type of activity, specifically when it comes to metals, is a tell. Also with tech, starts giving you a tell. We look for breadcrumbs. So the first half of the day is all about breadcrumbs. After they give us the announcement, there's that. The other thing I want to add, yesterday when I was, during the day when I was watching flow, and then last night when I sorted through some flow, there were two tickers that absolutely stood out as far as having more of a bullish lean to them. That was Google and that was BABA. Those two had bullish lean that was absolutely noticeable up against the rest of it. Apple flow was just nothing. It was not real indicative of anything. So let's keep that in mind at the same time. Anybody have anything else? Anything they want to add? Anybody in the room have a ticker or something that they want to blurt out? And then we can get into probably the biggest piece of news of the day after that, if nobody does. Walmart, watching the gap over there. Okay, very good, Mark. Thank you. Okay. We had a major announcement yesterday that was earth-shattering to a lot of people.
I'm still mourning this. Do we have to
Well, I want to make
the
sure
wound
that
is
you're
fresh.
okay. I want to make sure that you're okay.
I'm not okay.
You're not okay.
I'm not okay.
There was a real tragedy yesterday, and the people did not get a say in what happened. The people's voices were not heard, and people like Bender and even myself and many others are reeling from the decision for the Choco Taco to be discontinued. I'm not sure really how to digest the fact that somebody thought it was a good idea to eliminate the Choco Taco.
They literally could have gotten rid of every other freaking Klondike bar, and I wouldn't have cared.
These are the times that we're living in. Where not even the Choco Taco is safe. And I'm sorry for your loss.
It's going to take a while to get past this, I think.
I can understand, man.
Yeah.
It's like you're combining chocolate with a taco. It's like, I don't know if there's anything. It's like, I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss this morning. Why they would make that decision.
It's dumb.
I'm starting to think that maybe they're racist.
Oh, Julian, you gotta get them before you never have the opportunity to experience a Choco Taco.
Choco Taco.
Because they are really, they're good. They're good.
We have 18 minutes until open. I'm going to really encourage everybody to go ahead and focus in on a moment of silence and consideration.
For the Choco Taco?
The Choco Taco. The legacy of the Choco Taco, just because they took it away, doesn't mean that that legacy has to die with this egregious decision to rob future generations of the Choco Taco. It doesn't have to be that way.
So we have a moment of silence.
Moment of silence. We'll see you shortly.